Welcome to the deep dive. If you're keeping track of the huge shifts in software engineering lately, AI coding assistants are pretty much table stakes now.
Mm-hmm.
But today, we're going quite a bit further than just, simple autocomplete. We're diving into the sources on BLACKBOX.AI. It's a platform that seems to be aiming for something bigger, like a single comprehensive AI development world.
Right. And our mission for you, the listener, is to really get the gist of what makes this platform different. We need to cut through the usual buzzwords and figure out how it actually works.
Okay.
Not just as another AI helper, but maybe as this full spectrum pair programmer platform,
Yeah.
handling everything from writing code to managing system tasks. What's its real core purpose? That's what we're unpacking today.
So let's pin down its basic identity first.
Mm.
Our sources define BLACKBOX.AI pretty clearly, don't they? As a platform built specifically to, well, seriously boost developer productivity.
Yeah, and radically speed up coding tasks right across the board.
Radically speed up. Okay.
The key word is acceleration. It's not just about generating little bits of code. It's about turning ideas, concepts into actual working software much, much faster than we're used to.
Hmm.
It really focuses on automating those repetitive, maybe lower value software tasks. And that's important because it frees you, the developer, up to focus your brain power on the bigger picture.
Right, like system architecture, complex problem solving.
Exactly. The creative parts of building things, not just the grunt work.
Less boilerplate, more breakthrough. That makes
Yeah.
a lot of sense as a vision. Okay, but let's start with the immediate stuff, the conversational features that make it feel usable, like a real partner, not just a glorified search engine.
Yeah, good place to start. The immediate value kicks in with the AI chat and the code generation. And what the sources point out is that unlike some basic models, this one has like deep contextual understanding. You can chat with it, sure, but the answers are really tuned for engineering problems.
So you mean asking really specific coding questions like, how do I implement this specific algorithm in Python? Or maybe getting an explanation for some obscure library feature you only see once in a blue moon.
Precisely. Or, you feed it that chunk of code that's just not working, and you ask it to help you debug it.
Okay,
Or even suggest ways to optimize code you already have, make it run faster or cleaner.
got it. And the generation part, that's where it actually writes code for you.
Yeah, and this is where it really starts to pay off, when you move from just chatting about code to actually creating it. The power is generating pretty significant blocks of working code just from natural language, like plain English prompts.
Okay, give us that example from the source. It was quite specific.
Yeah, it was a good one. You could ask it something like, write a Python script that reads a CSV file, cleans up the input data bit, and then plots a bar chart with multiple data series using matplotlib.
And it understands all those steps. Read, sanitize, plot, use that specific library.
Exactly. It grasps the whole intention and delivers the script that, well, should actually work.
That's pretty useful for getting started on a task, definitely. But for day-to-day coding, it's all about speed and how it fits into your workflow, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Which brings us right to the sort of core productivity feature, real-time code completion. And the key here is that it's designed to integrate really tightly into the places developers actually work, like VS Code, for instance. Okay, but we've had auto-completion for ages. What's different here? Is it just suggesting more words?
No, it's way beyond that. The difference is the context it uses. It's not just looking at the line you're on.
Ah,
The sources say it has cross-file, sometimes even cross-repository context awareness. It's basically synthesizing suggestions based on your entire project. It sees your dependencies, your naming patterns, the whole structure.
so as I'm typing, it's looking ahead, trying to predict maybe whole function calls or even class structures based on everything else in the project.
Exactly. It's anticipating what you'll likely need next, which can dramatically speed up that moment-to-moment coding process.
Okay, so it's not just a chatbot and a side panel you dip into now and then. It's woven right into the editor, understanding the whole picture. Now, we often hear about AI helping senior devs go faster.
Yeah.
But what about learners? Is there a risk juniors just bypass learning the fundamentals? How does it actually help with, learning?
That's a really important question, and the sources seem to emphasize its dual role here. For a junior developer or maybe someone switching languages, it's specifically mentioned as a tool for learning and debugging.
How so?
Well, it gives you instant understanding. Say you hit a tricky concept like, I don't know, async programming in Node.js. It doesn't just throw documentation links at you. It tries to explain the concept in the context of the code you're actually looking at.
Oh, okay. That's useful.
And when errors pop up, which they always do, its debugging is supposedly quite advanced. It finds errors, but often suggests optimization tips too. So the code isn't just working, it's also, decent code, clean, efficient.
So it helps you get unstuck faster on the basics,
Yeah.
letting you focus more on the why behind the code, the actual logic.
That seems to be the idea, yeah. Less time fighting syntax, more time understanding principles.
Okay, that covers the text-based side and the editor integration.
Yeah.
But if we're talking truly transformative tech, we need to look at the features that, well, move beyond the keyboard, the visual stuff you mentioned earlier.
Right, this is the aha moment for a lot of developers reading about this platform. It's the image-to-code conversion. It uses optical character recognition, but applied to visual things like diagrams or screenshots.
This sounds wild. Explain how that works. What kind of image are we talking about?
It could be anything, really. A screenshot you grabbed of some code online, maybe a diagram from a PDF, or, and this is the really impressive claim, even a messy sketch you just drew on a whiteboard.
A whiteboard sketch. Seriously.
That's what the sources highlight. Think about, how prototyping usually starts. You're in a meeting, you sketch out some UI components, make data flow on the board.
Yeah, happens all the time. And then someone has to manually translate that scribble into actual code.
Exactly. Hours of tedious work just to get the basic structure down. The idea here is that BLACKBOX.AI can look at that visual sketch, recognize the pieces, the buttons, the boxes, the arrows, and generate a working prototype. The scaffolding code, maybe HTML, CSS, basic structure, directly from that image.
Okay, the whiteboard example really lands.
Yeah.
Because we've all seen those architect diagrams that look like chicken scratch, and turning that into the initial project files is just painful.
Yeah.
This sounds like it could translate visual intent into a functional starting point almost instantly.
That's the potential, yeah. A massive compression of the time between the idea sketched out and having something like a minimum viable product you can actually start working with. It's
Yeah.
trying to understand the visual layout, the forms, fields, flow, and generate the corresponding code.
Mind-blowing stuff. Okay, so with all these powerful features, how do people actually use it? Are you locked into one specific application?
No, definitely not. The sources emphasize multi-platform integration as being really central. They know developers work in different ways on different machines.
All right.
So they detail 4 main ways to access it. First, the standard web app, use the chat and code generation in any browser. Second, the VS Code extension, which is huge because so many devs live in VS Code. That puts the power right inside the editor.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah.
You mentioned mobile earlier. How does that fit in, especially with the image thing?
Yeah, the mobile app, it lets you do quick Q&A or get assistance when you're away from your main machine. But crucially, it's key for that code scanning feature.
Ah, so you use the phone's camera.
Exactly. Snap a picture of that whiteboard diagram or maybe a snippet on someone else's screen, and it uses that image-to-code tech to process it and potentially send the generated code over to your main development setup.
Very clever link between mobile and desktop. And what if you want everything all in one place? Then there's the fourth option, the dedicated BLACKBOX.AI IDE. It's a complete standalone development environment, but with all this AI stuff, the generation, completion, debugging, baked right in from the start. They're clearly aiming for flexibility, whatever your preferred way of working is. Okay, let's shift gears a bit, because up to now, we've mostly talked about helping write code within files. But the platform seems to go broader into project management, system tasks. This is where the definition of coding assistant starts to feel a bit small, right? Tell us about this desktop agent.
Yeah, this is a major pivot. It moves the platform into automation and project management territory. We're going from an AI that helps you write code to one that helps you orchestrate complex workflows across your system.
Desktop agent sounds like it needs pretty deep access to your machine, your operating system. What can it do that normal dev tools typically can't?
Well, it allows for direct file system operations, creating folders, moving files, that kind of thing, and automation that jumps between different applications.
Okay.
So it can handle routine system tasks, the boring stuff. But the real power, according to the sources, is automating these complex multi-step sequences involving different programs, all triggered by a single natural language command.
Can you give us a concrete example of that, something that shows the kind of complexity we're talking about?
Sure. Imagine you're starting a brand new microservice. Instead of manually clicking around for an hour setting things up, you could potentially tell the desktop agent something like, create a new serverless project using TypeScript, set up the basic CI/CD pipeline definition file for GitLab, generate the standard boilerplate files based on our company's hexagonal architecture template, and then open the main entry point file in VS Code. Whoa! So it coordinates across the file system, the CI/CD tool, maybe a template generator, and the IDE, all from one instruction.
That's the idea. It acts as an orchestrator for all those separate tools and system actions. That sounds incredibly powerful. But, I mean, it also immediately brings up security questions, doesn't it? Giving an AI agent that level of control over your file system, letting it talk to other applications. What do the sources say about permissions and safety?
Yeah, that control is exactly why the security aspect is critical. The sources don't dive deep into the cryptographic details, but they
Yeah.
do stress that these agents operate within defined limits.
Yeah.
The user has to explicitly grant permissions for things like file access or letting it interact with other apps. This is usually managed through standard OS controls, sandboxing, or maybe specific API keys for different services. It's not just running wild, it operates under human oversight. The automation happens within guardrails set by the developer. That's vital context. It's powerful, but hopefully not autonomous in a dangerous way.
Okay, great. Before we wrap up, we really need to talk about the name itself. Black box AI. That's a loaded term in the AI world, often with negative connotations, right? Why pick that name?
Yeah, it definitely raises an eyebrow. It touches on this big theme of AI transparency. Generally, in AI research, a black box AI means a system where you can see the input and the output, but the internal process, how it got from A to B, is opaque. You can't easily understand why it made that specific decision or suggestion.
So it usually refers to a lack of explainability, which can be frustrating.
Yeah.
Are they just leaning into that, embracing the mystery?
It seems like they're using it strategically, yeah. They're acknowledging that they rely on these incredibly powerful, often huge, and likely proprietary AI models, LLMs, other deep learning stuff, to deliver these advanced features.
Okay.
So by using the name BLACKBOX.AI, they seem to be signaling the sheer computational horsepower underneath. The kind of complex, maybe even slightly incomprehensible AI needed to do things like turn a drawing into code or automate those system-wide workflows we talked about.
So it's less an admission of we don't know how it works either, and more a statement like the power inside is so advanced it feels like a black box.
Exactly. It kind of flips the meaning from being about a limitation, lack of transparency, to being about capability, advanced, powerful AI. It's framing the complexity as a feature, not a bug.
It's a really interesting spin, good context for the whole platform.
Okay.
So let's try and summarize the key takeaway for the listener. BLACKBOX.AI seems designed to handle the grunt work of coding, yes, but also translate visual ideas into code and even automate complex system tasks, all while integrating across different tools and platforms.
Yeah, it's really positioning itself as this end-to-end AI ecosystem for developers, trying to remove the friction from the entire development lifecycle, right from the initial idea, maybe sketched on a napkin, through to getting the project scaffolding ready for deployment.
It's a bold vision.
It really is. And that leads us to the final thought we want to leave you with. If an AI can already interpret a rough sketch and generate a working prototype from it, and at the same time automate those intricate multi-app system workflows that used to take a human sysadmin ages, what does that shift really imply?
Where do humans focus next?
Exactly. Where will human developers, where will you need to invest your thinking, your cognitive energy, when the fundamental construction work, the plumbing, is increasingly handled by the box? What are the new, higher-level problems, architectural, strategic, maybe even ethical, that you'll finally have the bandwidth to tackle? That's the future this kind of technology is pushing us towards.
A challenging thought and a fascinating glimpse into where software development might be heading. Excellent deep dive. Thanks for breaking that all down.
My pleasure.
We'll catch you next time on The Deep Dive.